everybody. Welcome to my May reading vlog. So far, I don't really have a lot of reading news to share, aside from the fact that I am going to be reading, I believe, Slaughterhouse 5 by Vonnegut, as well as listening to the audiobook of Crush, which is the second book in the Crave series by Tracy Wolff. You know, that Twilight fantasy horrible thing that I read in October? Hey, what's up? The weather is really bad. I feel like I'm dying, so I have already started the second book in the Tracy Wolff series. It's that new knockoff Twilight fantasy series. I already felt like crap, so thought I'd go to hell. I will keep you updated on that as I go, but right now I wanted to show off the gifts that I got for my mother for Mother's Day because they are book related. So I got her Almost Just Friends by Jill Shalvis, I think it's a romance, and The End of Her by Sherry LaPena, which I believe is a thriller. And I also got her a set of ballpoint pens with really cute messages on them because she likes these pens and I needed to add more for free shipping. So that's it for now. So the forecast calls for just like days of rain where I am, so expect all the video to be pretty dull. So I am currently halfway through Slaughterhouse 5 by Vonnegut, and I am only 3 hours into the 18-hour audiobook of Crush by Tracy Wolff. I don't like this book, but I'm just listening to it, so I'm not, wasting my time really. I'm doing other things besides it. But I need to figure out what I'm going to read after Slaughterhouse 5, and I think I want it to be something that I'll actually enjoy, so stay tuned for that. Hey, this isn't a very important update. I just wanted to say that I was listening to Crush by Tracy Wolff, and the audiobook narrator pronounced Flo Rida as Flo Rita. Is that his sister? Flo Rita? I'd love to hear her music. Hey, just checking in to say that I am officially halfway through The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And so far, I am enjoying it. I understand that a couple years back it was hyped as one of the greatest books ever, and everyone was calling it a favorite. I knew it wouldn't exactly be a favorite of mine, but I am enjoying the process of reading, and I'll probably still give it a high rating, but I just think that that aspect of the novel was a little bit too overhyped. I do love the concept of the novel, a shut-in celebrity revealing her life story and why she married 7 men, but obviously that is an homage to Elizabeth Taylor, who had multiple marriages and quite the lifestyle. So while it is a very interesting idea to put into fiction, it's not an entirely novel idea because it has already happened in Hollywood. And the discussions of her bisexuality and being biracial are also very good in the novel. It's not too heavy-handed, and it actually fits well into the story and the themes of the novel, because the Hollywood system, even to this day, is a nightmare at suppressing things about you that they don't particularly accept. I am also halfway through Crush by Tracy Wolff, and what can I really say about that? I mean, it's bad, but it's bad more in a baffling way, and it's at least trying new concepts, so I can't really condemn it. It's trying, but it's just really missing the mark for me personally. Not only is it trying to be Twilight, it's also trying to be the Goblet of Fire from whatever book series that is. I can't remember off the top of my head at the moment, because the characters are in some sort of tournament to gain objects they need for a spell. One twist did just happen in the novel. The Jacob analogy in this book has actually admitted that it is not the female protagonist that he has a crush on, but rather the male protagonist, which is a unique twist on the love triangle that I really never see in books like this. I'm sure it exists in other books, and I do admire the attempt of what the author is trying to do with that. I doubt that it will be dealt with properly, but that is an interesting concept, and I'm kind of interested in seeing where it ends up. I hope it isn't just left on the cutting room floor in favor of the main couple's issues. And I should also mention that plot-wise, it's steering a bit farther away from Twilight in favor of the Vampire Diaries dynamic. If you know what that means, then you know. So that's at least different. This is still just very not good. Hopefully I will be finished with that audiobook soon, and I hope to finish enjoying Evelyn Hugo. So that's my update for now. Hey, update time. So I finished The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, gave it 4 stars. I finished Crush by Tracy Wolff, and I only gave that 2 stars. I can't really say anything about that one because that was a dumpster fire, but at least it was a recognizable dumpster fire from the very start. So with those 2 books done, I have obviously started another. It's called Monsters by Sharon Dogar. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And it is essentially a retelling of Mary Shelley's life and her tumultuous relationship with Percy and her going to live with Byron and Percy and eventually, of course, writing Frankenstein. I find Mary Shelley's life to be one of the most fascinating of anybody in the Gothic genre. However, people don't know how to properly tell her story. They always manage to screw something up. I'm so far halfway through the book, and I don't like it. The characters are very preachy, childish, annoying, and think they can get away with everything. They're very privileged, and it's all just, it feels very childish, and I don't like that aspect because although, yes, Mary Shelley was young when she published Frankenstein, it doesn't mean I want to hear a child bicker with their father for 120 pages. The book is reminding me of that recent film about Mary Shelley's life starring Elle Fanning, and that one was also overly romanticized and didn't really capture the essence of what made the process of writing Frankenstein for Mary Shelley so cool. And I don't know, I don't think I'm gonna end up liking this book, but we'll see. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm still in my pajamas, but that's okay. You'll get over it. So I have already finished Monster by Sharon Dogar, and I'm giving it 2 stars because oh boy was that a slog to get through. Rather than being an in-depth biography about Mary Shelley's life, meeting Percy and eventually going to the castle that she stayed with Lord Byron and Polidori and Percy and writing Frankenstein. Instead, I was treated with a subpar family drama about her 2 sisters, her dad rejecting her, and this love triangle between Percy and every woman in the book, and melodramatic, immature arguing that was written to be intelligent, but it was just them bickering over politics in a way that they could never fully properly deal with it. And like, yes, I get it. Mary Wollstonecraft, Mary Shelley's mother, was an extreme proto-feminist who advocated for a lot of things. But the fact that Mary's only personality trait is that she just spews what her mother wrote is incredibly stupid. And not to make light of what occurred with having children for Mary Shelley, which of course would be horrible and traumatic. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Her other main story beat was not the process of writing Frankenstein as a way to let out her anxieties. No, all of her worries was that she was a bad mother because her son had a nanny. If that makes you a bad parent, then everybody's a bad parent because they hire babysitters. And the writing thought it was so smart. It just thought it was so intellectual, and it was just immature, bickering, arguing. For the whole book, it was awful. As I said in the last clip, just watch the 2017 Mary Shelley biopic featuring Elle Fanning. That was also inaccurate, but at least it had things to look at. It had visuals. The second thing that I wanted to update was I'm listening to a new audiobook. It showed up on my library audiobook account, and I thought I'd try it out. It's A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So far I have thoughts. I don't know if they will be substantial enough to create another separate video about the trilogy, but if I do, stay tuned. I will keep discussing the book in this vlog just in case I don't find enough content. So there's my update for now. I'm listening to fairy porn. So, I read Mr. Impossible in one day. I saw spoilers for the book online, and I knew I just had to read it. I won't give too many spoilers at this time, but if you want to skip past this clip, go ahead. If you don't know it already, Mr. Impossible is the second book in the Dreamer trilogy by Maggie Steifvater. She's the author of The Raven Cycle, and this is a sequel series based on the character Ronan. Mr. Impossible has a lot of the same weaknesses that Call Down the Hawk had. The attempt to try and explain and add rules to dream magic while also trying to just excuse it as dream magic is not properly balanced, and it comes off very weak. I can't stand the moderator's storyline, and every time I have to read it, it's awful. Bride was the most annoying thing to get through. I hated him so much. And in this book, Hennessy was also really awful to read through. She had a lot of these really stupid, useless monologues, and I think it was just an excuse for Maggie to use a bunch of British slang. So, ew. But some positives for the book. First of all, it's short. The ebook was only 260 pages, and I think the physical copy is about 340. Either way, nice and short compared to the first book, which felt like a chore to get through. The second good thing that came from the book was what was there in the first book. Declan's storyline, making him more human, making him a lot more likable, and in this book, him and Jordan's interactions are just really cute. I love Adam. He's a scene stealer, and the best part of the book, he's the smartest one in the book. And if you like Matthew, his parts are good too, but I really don't have many feelings about Matthew. Ronan, on the other hand, is an idiot, but at least he goes through an arc in this book. And I do enjoy the direction that Bride goes to in this book. What occurs. I like what occurs with Bride's storyline and his connection to Ronan. That is a trope that I do enjoy. So I gave Mr. Impossible 2 stars. I would say I would read the third book in the Dreamer trilogy, but Maggie's probably going to call it the stupidest thing she can think of and have the cover look like ass. So, we'll see in like 2 years. Okay, it's wrap-up time. Let's get this over with. So, I read 7 books this month. So the first book that I read was Slaughterhouse 5 by Vonnegut, and I only gave that 3 stars. I understood the purpose of the novel, but I didn't really enjoy the process of reading it, and I don't know if I'm too glad that I read it, but I did have to read it for my poster. The second book that I read was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid, and I actually gave that one 4 stars. It was very overhyped a few years ago, but I still enjoyed the book for what it was. It's not my favorite book of all time, but it is one that I greatly enjoyed for the most part. Next, I listened to the audiobook of Crush, the second book in the Crave series by Tracy Wolff, and that amounted to 2 stars. I at least knew it was going to be bad as I was listening to it. It was just something to have in my ear as I did tasks in the morning, and it wasn't very good. I didn't really enjoy it, but I liked the arc that it's planning to go to, how it switches from one love interest to inevitably the other one. So I am a bit curious to see what they will do next. Next, I read Monsters by Sharon Dogar. That was the Mary Shelley fictionalized life, and I also gave that one 2 stars. It was very immature, and it thought it was very intellectual, but it was just a bunch of basically kids trying to act like adults and spewing proto-feminist rhetoric that was very weak, and it was not enjoyable to read, and it had nothing to do with Mary's process of writing Frankenstein at all, which I think would be its own unique story. So I did not enjoy that one. Next, I listened to the audiobook of A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I gave this one 2 stars as well. I will probably read the other books in this series, but however, given Sarah J. Maas's recent rhetoric, I will not make too much content on it, and I would also like to make note that I am listening to it on audiobook through my library, so I am not paying for it or contributing any funds to Sarah J. Maas. I then read Mr. Impossible, the second book in the Dreamer trilogy by Maggie Steifvater, in one day, and that also got 2 stars. I only read it because I read spoilers and wanted to see how those spoilers came to be, but ultimately it was a short filler book with not a lot of content that I enjoyed and only a few scenes that I actually cared about. Reading it all in one day was actually beneficial because I don't really remember anything that I read, therefore I can't sit here and fester about it, which I guess is a good thing. So I will read the third book, but I'm not going to be happy about it. I then finished off my month reading The Deathless Girls by Kiran, Millwood, Hargrave. Sorry if I mispronounced that. It is a YA story about 2 twin sisters who get taken from their home and end up becoming servants for a certain famous vampire. That one. I finished that book in 2 days because it was short, and it was beautifully written, and the storyline with the sisters and their bond was really lovely, but I just thought that it skewed too young for the content. They were only 17 years old and facing a lot of hardship, and I did not enjoy reading that from characters so young. Also, I don't like the idea that that certain famous vampire would want brides that were only 17 years old. Ew, 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 ew. So it was a cute little story. The cover is gorgeous. I really enjoyed the cover. That was my favorite part. But yeah, it was a story that it was alright, so I believe I am going to be giving it 3 stars. And that's it. That's my reading month for the month of May. Hopefully you enjoyed this very scattered reading vlog that was pretty monotonous. I do apologize. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you would like. I will see you next month. Bye bye!